Excuse me.
If I could just get everybody's attention for a couple of minutes. So the invitation said that there would be a program, and the program would be at 12:30. So just so everybody knows, and you don't go running, there is only one speech.
Excuse me.
I'm the only speech. Yes, applause. Thank you. So I will be the only speaker this evening, this afternoon. All right. So just a couple of comments. You know, Benny's full name is Binyamin Yehuda. At Benny's bris, I spoke about Leah's choice of the name Yehuda for her fourth son. Leah chose the name Yehuda as an expression of thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for having granted her more than her fair share of the tribes. I commented at that time that while Benny was named after my great-uncle Benny Ehrman, we felt that the name Yehuda was also an appropriate middle name for Benny, since it represented our overall feeling of appreciation and thankfulness for the birth of our second son. I did not, however, speak about how Benny's first name, Binyamin, was also an appropriate name for a child with special needs. Like with the birth of all the Shvatim, the choice of the name Binyamin by Rachel was meant to signify something special. The pasuk tells us that Rachel chose the name Binyamin as she was dying. She said, "Vatikra shemo ben Oni." Rashi said that she called him Ben Sari, the son of her pain. Now, while there was obviously some disappointment associated with the knowledge that Benny had Down syndrome, and mostly only due to our changing expectations of what he would accomplish in life, even hinting at pain or disappointment was not the message that we wanted to send at his bris. However, if I would have read the pasuk and done a little bit more research at that time, I would have realized that the name Binyamin was equally and is equally as an appropriate name as Yehuda for a child like Benny, and possibly even a more appropriate name. The pasuk that deals with the naming of Binyamin concludes, "The aviv karev lo Binyamin," that his father Yaakov Avinu called him Binyamin. So Rachel called him Ben-Oni, and Yaakov changed the name. The Ramban presents his own explanation with respect to the change of the name from Ben-Oni to Binyamin. He says that when Rachel called him Ben-Oni, she meant to say something. She meant to say that he was the son of her mourning. But Yaakov, his father, changed the name of the meaning Oni to my strength. That is why Yaakov called him Binyamin. He was calling him the son of his right hand. The right hand symbolizing strength. Haben HaKoach, the son of might. Haben HaChazak, the son of strength. I'd like to take the liberty to expand on the words of the Ramban and suggest that Yaakov was doing more than merely translating a name that had a sad connotation into something denoting goodness and strength. I want to suggest that Yaakov was sending the following message, that through difficulty and challenge comes strength and goodness. I'm not sure that that was a message that we could have internalized 13 years ago as we were just starting out our journey as the parents of a child with special needs. However, as we celebrate Benny becoming a bar mitzvah, Yaakov's message could not be true. Over the past 13 years, we've had the zechus and the opportunity to meet many other parents of children with special needs, and the strength and resilience displayed by these parents is truly remarkable. There was nothing in either Rivki or Maya's life up until the birth of Benny that had prepared us for the role of being a parent of a child with special needs. Neither one of us had been a counselor in a summer camp for children with special needs, nor had we had any significant exposure to children with special needs. There's a popular saying that God only gives special needs children to people who can handle it. I'd like to suggest that in our case, God did not give a child with special needs to parents who could handle it. Rather, he first gave us Benny, and then gave us the strength to handle it. Through our blind acceptance, God gave us the strength to be Benny's parents and opened our eyes to see the blessing, goodness, and privilege that being the parent of a child with special needs can be. I believe that that was the message that Yaakov wished to signify by changing the name of his youngest son to Binyamin. That through what looks like tragedy comes strength and goodness. With the second half of my remarks, I'd like to share some of the benefits that we have experienced by being the parents of a child with special needs. First and foremost, we have been zocheh to see the Yad Hashem, the hand of God, in several instances. As many of you know, we knew that Benny would be born with Down syndrome approximately halfway through the pregnancy with him. Early in our journey, after we knew that something was amiss with our unborn child, but before we had a final diagnosis, Rivki and I were driving home from an appointment in Baltimore, and we stopped to grab a bite to eat. At the restaurant, and in Baltimore a restaurant qualifies as Dunkin' Donuts, so it was a restaurant nonetheless. But at the restaurant, a young man who we had never met before, and who clearly was special needs, approached us and asked us if we could give him a lift. It was his job to collect the money that accumulated in the tzedakah boxes that had been left in Jewish businesses up and down the main road there. He asked us to drive him to the various business locations so he could collect the money from the tzedakah boxes and then drop him off at his day program. Through this experience, we had the opportunity to see what a day in the life of a person with developmental delays might look like. Both Rifki and I took this as a message, that a person with special needs can have a life, and that while it may be different from our own lives, it can be meaningful nonetheless, and that things would be okay even if Benny were to be born with an extra chromosome. While that was not the message we were looking for at that point of our journey, seeing that the special needs young man had a job, was independently able to make his way around town, and was exactly what we needed to see at that point in time. Another situation where we clearly got to see a little bit of divine intervention was in January of 2010. And if you remember, at that point in time, due to multiple pneumonias and hospitalizations, Benny was granted a wish by the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And the entire family went down to Disney World in Orlando for a week. On our first night in Orlando, we took the kids out to the kosher restaurant, and while at dinner, we noticed another family who were, they were towards the end of their meal, and they were staring at us. They were actually staring at us quite intently. It was almost uncomfortable. We were sitting there, and I'm like, those people are really looking at us. After several minutes, the father approached us and told us in a broken English that they were from Venezuela, and that his wife had recently given birth to a child with Down syndrome. The husband proceeded to tell us that his wife was heartbroken since the birth of their child, and they had taken her and the family on vacation. I think they had left the newborn child at home, but they had taken the entire family to Orlando, hoping that a change of scenery would do them some good. He told us that seeing us on vacation as a family, with Benny just being treated as a regular member of our family, gave his wife tremendous chizuk. Just as Hashem had sent us a message while we were expecting Benny, he had arranged that two families, one from Monsey, New York and one from Venezuela, should happen to meet each other in a restaurant in Orlando, Florida, in order to provide that family, who had their own newborn, with the strength and with the chizuk that they needed to go home and start their lives with a child with special needs. I think the biggest advantage that we've realized as Benny's parents is that Benny is the ultimate teacher. He sets an incredible example for how we should approach daily living in Avodas Hashem. Benny excels at maintaining his excitement level as he goes day to day. He's especially happy when he has the opportunity to perform mitzvahs, and what is especially impressive is how Benny's excitement remains constant each and every single time he does the mitzvah. Benny is as excited to light menorah on the 8th night of Hanukkah as he is on the first night. Benny started putting on his real tefillin approximately 5.5 weeks before his bar mitzvah. And his enthusiasm today is equal to the same enthusiasm he displayed 7 weeks ago. In reality, Benny has really been putting on tefillin for about 1.5 years. The tefillin that he wore up until he got his real pair are actually a toy pair of tefillin that they sell in the Svarim store. And he put those on every single day for 1.5 years leading up to his bar mitzvah with excitement and anticipation. Benny joined our family when Rifki and I were in our 20s. The odds of us having a child with Down syndrome were greater than 1 in 1,000. Living with Benny these past 13 years has taught us a valuable lesson, namely that we are not in control and that we are not in charge. Having Benny has taught us that we're not in control of how successful our children will be in school, how successful we'll be in our professions, or even how the smallest and most insignificant detail of our day will turn out. Benny has taught us that all we can do is try our best and pray that the results of our efforts will be successful, and that if things don't turn out the way we'd hoped, that this too is for the best. We, like the rest of the world, are challenged daily to apply this perspective to our daily lives. However, Benny is our little reminder. He offers us daily reminders of the absolute truth, that we're not in control, and that everything Hashem does is ultimately for the best. At this point, I'd like to take a few minutes to say thank you to those individuals and institutions that have been of great help to us, and without whose help we would not be where we are today, and Benny wouldn't be where he is today. While I wish I could thank every single person, personally, individual, publicly here by name, I think that in the interest of time, I won't do that, and there are just so many folks that it would not be fair to kind of call everybody out by name. First and foremost, we'd like to thank all of you who've traveled from near and far this afternoon for choosing to spend part of your Hanukkah Sunday with us. We know this is a busy day for many of you, and many of you are headed to other Hanukkah celebrations this afternoon and this evening. We'd like to thank you for coming to celebrate Benny's special day with us. We'd like to thank our families for all of their love, encouragement, and support over the years. You were all there for us prior to Benny's birth when we learned that we'd be going to Holland instead of Italy. You were there for us when Benny was born, and were a constant presence through the years as Benny was faced with a host of medical challenges. I'd like to thank the staff of A&T Nursing and all of the nurses who've taken care of Benny's medical needs day in and day out over the years. We consider you to be part of the family. And thank you from the bottom of our heart for taking such great care of Benny. And for treating Benny like he's your own child. Many of the nurses who are here today and have been with Benny for years. And I think you'll see, we were looking through pictures, I don't know if they made them into the video, but we've got pictures of many of the nurses who are here today. They're there as Benny is a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old, so they've been with us for years. Pam McKernan, Bridie Williams, Susan Wegman, Aaron Boca, Anna Lagumi, Lauren Hopkins, and Aileen Wright. We cannot thank you enough. Thank you to the numerous doctors who have cared for Benny over the years, particularly the staff at Pomona Pediatrics. Thank you for seeing Benny off hours. There have been multiple occasions where your willingness to see Benny on a Saturday or a Sunday night has prevented a trip to the emergency room or a hospitalization. Thank you to all the various specialists who've taken a personal interest in Benny and who have managed to fit Benny into their busy schedules. We'd also like to thank all of our neighbors and friends for all they've done for Benny. We consider ourselves very lucky to be living in such an accepting neighborhood, where Benny is treated as one of the boys. Our neighbors pay attention and take an interest in Benny and have responded very generously when approached to support Benny's yeshiva or Vadas. I want to say a special thank you to Rabbi Schnall and all of the Spalim of Kalri who've been so welcoming of Benny and who have played an active role in the celebration of Benny becoming a bar mitzvah. Last but certainly not least, we'd like to thank all of the teachers, therapists, staff, board, and administration of Yeshiva Sor Vadas for being our partners in the education of Benny. Benny has made remarkable progress since joining Or Vadas after spending 4 years in public school. We were privileged to watch Benny get an aliyah in shul 2 weeks ago at his bar mitzvah on Shabbos Parshas Vayishlach. Benny getting an aliyah was the fulfillment of a dream that was in doubt just a mere few weeks ago. It was only due to the teamwork, dedication, and hard work of the teachers and therapists at Or Vadas, all working towards a common goal, that Benny was able to successfully make the brachas for his aliyah. At this time, could you please all turn your attention to the screens for a brief audio-visual presentation.